So I watched a few movies in October and I wanted to share some quick thoughts on them. Obviously October was spooky season, so my goal was to watch a lot of scary movies I've never seen before. There were two franchises I've never taken the time to sit down and watch, and I've always felt like I've been missing out because of that. Those two are the Saw movies and the Scream movies. Both huge classics and somehow still ongoing. So no better time than the present to attempt and catch up before the next one releases. Did I succeed? I don't know. You might have to like and subscribe and comment your favorite scary movie to find out. Or maybe just finish watching the video. That would work too. Okay, without further ado, let's see what I watched in October. The first movie I watched was the original A Nightmare on Elm Street. I think this was Johnny Depp's first movie, and it is so weird and funny seeing him this young. I can definitely see why this would probably scare every kid who saw it in theaters back in 1984. But unfortunately for me, I'm a big boy in the year 2024, so I wasn't scared once. It was a lot of fun though, and the end with the loop reveal I thought was cool. 3 stars. Next, I watched the original Exorcist. This was the epitome of a slow burn. You know there's going to be an exorcism with that iconic poster shot, but it takes a fat minute with a lot more desert scenes than I was expecting to get there. The makeup and the shots and the set design are incredible with great acting from the whole cast. Definitely wouldn't recommend pulling this one out at a party unless you want everyone to fall asleep though. The film bros would 100% eat this up though. 4 stars. I unfortunately saw Joker Folie à I made a whole video that's already up on my channel if you want to hear my full thoughts on it, but boy, do I not like this movie. The horrid musical numbers, the boring story, it's been a bad year for comic book movies, man. 1 star. Joker got me feeling kind of depressed, so I decided to rewatch The Lighthouse. I cannot express how much I adore this movie. It's so bonkers and off the walls weird that you notice something new every time you watch it. I could probably view it at least once a month and still enjoy it every time. Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson go full insane. I can't believe I haven't seen any of Robert Eggers' other works, but I will definitely have to before Nosferatu comes out. The Lighthouse can be on the slower side, so it's definitely not for everyone, but I would definitely recommend watching it with your best friend with all the lights off at night and just letting yourself get absorbed in the madness that is this movie. Anytime I see this, I'll always randomly ask people, are you fond of me lobsters? 5 stars. Next up is Fright Night, the original from 1985. I was not sure what I was getting myself into at all besides the setup, which is that a teen thinks his new neighbors are vampires, and of course no one believes him. I think a modern comedy would work really well where the teen thinks the new neighbors are vampires, but they actually aren't. And maybe the whole movie keeps the audience guessing like, wait, is this kid onto something, or is he just actually insane and ruining the day of his new neighbors? But Fright Night heads very quickly in the direction of, yes, these are real vampires, and this kid is definitely in danger. I don't have much to say besides I can't really recommend this with how uncomfortable some parts were, but still a lot of fun. 3 stars. Netflix released a new movie called It's What's Inside, and I really want to make a whole video on it. I don't want to spoil anything for you, so I'm just going to say don't watch any trailers, don't look up synopsis, and go in totally blind as you can. Then you can come back and thank me. It has some serious problems, but it looks amazing, the plot is insane and fresh and fun. Go watch it. 3 stars. I went and saw Smile 2, which I also have a full video on if you want to go check that out on my channel. I've been bouncing around giving it 3 or 4 stars, and I think I'm going to stick with 4. I want to rewatch the original soon and see this again because it's really scary and a lot of fun. It definitely gets a recommendation from me. 4 stars. Next, I saw Terrifier. It is very impressive how fleshed out the character of Art is. The actor who plays him, David Howard Thornton, nails it, and the director, Damien Leon, needs to go to therapy or something because these movies are insane. The film starts strong, but it goes for 2 hours and the plot gets so messy. I'm telling you, if this was a solid hour and a half, it would instantly be so much better. I'm genuinely really curious why Leon insists on making all the Terrifier movies so long. This first entry is a little slow with really, and I mean truly atrocious acting, but a few moments are so dark and haunting that they make watching it worth it. 2 stars. I then instantly watched Terrifier 2. I liked it a lot more, but I also have a lot more I didn't like. Spoiler alert, but Art dies at the end of the first. So Leon decides to go in the direction that Art is like an agent from hell or something, a demon, if you will, and he can't really die. So there's this whole weird plot that the main girl's dad has visions of Art and that his daughter is the only one who can stop him, so he made this sword for her. It's so out of left field and gets really weird. If it was my dumb old self making this, I would have made it a prequel to the original and had Art be just a psychotic guy. But the effects and the prop work are insanely good, even if the story is eye-rolling in my opinion. But hey, at least the acting is a lot better. 3 stars. Then I went and rewatched The Wild Robot again in theaters, and yeah, this movie is damn good. Considering that the last movie from DreamWorks was Ruby Gillman, it almost feels like a miracle that this exists. How to Train Your Dragon is one of my favorite movies, so seeing as this is from the same director, Chris Sanders, I should have had more faith. It's a great time for kids and adults, and I liked it more the second time through. 5 stars. Next, I finally watched Raw. Every single scene of this had me saying, holy crap. It's an insane coming of age movie that heavily involves cannibalism. It's definitely not as bloody or crazy or over the top as a lot of people made me believe, but it's still insane. The camera work, color grading, symbolism, it's all incredible. It follows this girl who comes from a family of vets and vegetarians as she goes to vet school where her older sister already attends. During an initiation ritual, she's forced to eat meat for the first time. From there, it escalates very quickly. I highly recommend it. 5 stars. Then I went to see Terrifier 3 in theaters. It definitely doubles down on the things I hated from the second one and goes further from what I personally liked about the first two. Some of the creative decisions and kills they do I thought were in really poor taste. I left the theater feeling very little enjoyment from this entry. Like all of my videos, that is my personal opinion. 1 star. Next, I watched another new Netflix movie, Women of the Hour. This stars Anna Kendrick, which is also her directorial debut, and I gotta say, she does a fantastic job. It's obvious she has a lot to say on how the Hollywood industry has treated her and women like her, and it really puts you in the shoes of how scary it can be to be a woman. While I really enjoyed the look and direction, I was not 100% sold on the script and the time jumping they do instead of actually fully following through on the premise of the movie. 3 stars. Then I watched Thanksgiving. I thought it was going to be a straight up Scream ripoff, and in some ways it is, but it does enough to be fun and creative, and I ended up really liking the story and had a good time. 3 stars. I finally got around to watching another Netflix movie, Rebel Ridge. I heard a lot of great things, but it looked kind of standard, even Rambo sounding to me, so I kind of pushed it aside. But I put it on and boy did I have a great time. It was very refreshing to have a main character who doesn't solve his problems by killing every single person in the room. While the camera work felt kind of stale to me, the acting and the situations the main character found himself in and how he handled it made the watch worth it. I highly recommend it. 4 stars. Next, I watched Donnie Darko for the very first time. I knew this was a classic, but I still had no idea what to expect when I watched it. It's very methodical and deliberate. It's not necessarily a spooky movie, but a very captivating one. I will definitely need to watch it again to fully grasp my thoughts in it, but for now, I thought it was pretty good. 3 stars. Then I went to see Venom: The Last Dance. Boy, did I hate this. I've never been a fan of these movies or any Sony movie really, so I didn't expect much going in, and it still managed to disappoint me in every way. I'm making a video on this, so I'll leave more of my thoughts for that, but I can tell you right now, don't waste your time or money on this, please. 1 star. I also went to see We Live in Time, the newest A24 movie starring Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh Pugh. It's a love story, but oh no, there's also cancer. I was expecting a lot going into this, especially with all the marketing about how sad it was and everyone was crying, but it failed to really connect with me, and I feel like that's just a problem with the script, honestly. Andrew and Florence still knock it out of the park though. 3 stars. I watched Over the Garden Wall for the first time, and it was for sure a great time to watch it. The vibes with this show are off the charts. Elijah Wood and the voice actor for Greg are perfect. It's incredibly funny and also really scary for an apparent kids show. The story is perfectly laid out with amazing reveals towards the end. There's just little things that stack together to make this an instant classic that I'll rewatch every October or November for the rest of my life. 5 stars. I went and saw Saturday Night. My local theater sucks and wasn't playing it, so I had to really go out of my way to see this. It tells the story of the hour and a half leading up to when the first episode of Saturday Night went live. It's really accurate and fun, and hopefully will be a big hit on streaming. The cast was fantastic. It wasn't like bellyache laughing or crazy, and it kind of loses steam in the last half, but it's still worth your time. 3 stars. Next, I watched You're Next. I don't have a lot to say besides the fact it's really funny that the twist on this slasher home invasion movie is that the main girl is actually competent and can fight off the bad guys. It has some pretty good twists in it too. It was alright. 3 stars. Then I saw The Evil Dead for the first time. The camera work and effects are crazy good, and the acting and story are really fun and campy. I had a great time, and I can't wait to watch Evil Dead 2. Next, I rewatched Coraline. This movie is pretty much perfect. It might be the most perfect stop motion film I've ever seen. The vibes, the themes, the characters, the story just blend together and serve each other perfectly. It's obviously on the rewatch every October list. 5 stars. And of course, I watched every single Saw movie, which was 10 entire movies. They started really good, got really messy with an overly complicated story in the middle, had a few messy reboots/spin-offs, before landing on a great entry with the most recent Saw X. I always avoided the Saw franchise because I just saw it as gore porn, but this is leagues more tame than the Terrifier series. But I decided to finally give the series a chance, and I was surprised. They always end on a crazy twist. The traps are always creative, and the practical effects are fun to see. While some movies are great, a lot are pretty bad. The story just gets really annoying and takes away from what the movies actually should be, which is bad people trying to survive death traps. They're definitely a fun time with friends. My ratings for each one are on my Letterboxd, which is a shameless plug that you should go follow me on there. Then I watched every single Scream movie, which is currently 6. It's a really fun experience watching these for the first time, always trying to figure out who the killer is. The quality dips with each entry, but I would say they're all solid, especially the first. Then the reboot/sequels of 5 and 6 are really good in my opinion. The meta-ness of the whole series is fun and ahead of its time. I'd recommend them if you haven't seen them yet. I definitely want to watch them all for a second time, knowing who the killer is and seeing all the little details. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So that is what I watched in the month of October. I might make full videos on Saw and Scream later, since these are just some quick thoughts. But what did you watch? Leave some recommendations in the comments if you aren't a gatekeeper. And while you guys were watching this video, I spent time drawing a picture of you. It's a Cutiosaurus Rex. Get it? Because it's a dinosaur and you're cute. I'm gonna put it right here on my fridge. Nice.